can see me, even if it's not so important at the moment. The point is to hear me. So, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be on the stage and present you the insights of a very successful deployment of vision technology in the Coca-Cola Hellenic, focusing on the warehouse and more specifically on the picking area, on the picking processes. Before we start, just to present ourselves, starting with the ladies.
Good afternoon. I'm Suzana Rari. I'm leading supply chain operations in Greece and Cyprus for Coca-Cola Hellenic.
Jan Juncker. I am Chief Commercial Officer and co-founder of Ubimax.
And I'm Konstantinos Eliopoulos, the warehouse product manager for the group of Coca-Cola Hellenic. Before we start from the vision picking itself, the technology, just to give you a glance about the Coca-Cola Hellenic. For those who don't know, we are a leading bottler of Coke system with more than 60 years of history, 2.2 billion cases sold per year in our territory, big diversity, 28 countries that we are operating in. And on the next slide, we are going to see the geographical area that we are covering, with a big world best-selling non-alcoholic brand portfolio in our case, product offering diversified, 31% still drinks, with the fastest sparkling volume growth on the decade up to 4.3, and variants 25.9 of non-sugar variant. And focusing on the sustainability, more than 41% of the energy used is coming from clear, renewable energy, and more from the sustainability and water initiatives coming. Focusing on the territories, you can see 3 different pillars. Dark blue, established market, starting from the real west, that is coming the Ireland, Northern Ireland, moving to Austria, Swiss, Italy, Greece, and Cyprus, developing with a green, starting from Croatia, Adriatic area, moving up, Czech, Poland, and Baltics, and the red, starting from Russia on really top, moving down to Balkans like Bulgaria, Bosnia, Serbia, North Macedonia. On the east part, we have Armenia, and really south, it is the Africa, focusing on Nigeria. So, just an overview of Coca-Cola Hellenic. Moving to the technology itself. As you saw, 28 countries, more than 300 locations across our territory, more than 300 warehouses, 52 production centers across. So you can understand that we have a big complexity. The first point that we start with, it was to standardize the processes and the system across our territories. So standard process across all the warehouses that help us a lot to introduce 2 main categories of products in the warehouse, focusing on the picking. Paper solution, so the pickers have just a paper and following the orders that SAP, that is our backbone, is proposing. In really small locations or in locations we don't have big mixed volume. And the more advanced till now, that it was the mobile picking, that we have the handheld terminals or mounted device that you can see on the screen, mounted on the pallet jacks, and the system proposing to the pickers what to do, how to pick, which sequence, which products. Now, considering that in the warehouse, one of the most complex processes that we have, it is the picking, we were focusing and we were searching the best-in-class solutions, what we need to bring to our company in order to replace the current technology, improving our productivity and day-to-day employees' life, but also focusing on the real result, which is our customer satisfaction. Based on that, we have performed proof of concept, testing different technologies like vision, like voice, like different handheld, different monitors, and we end up with vision picking, considering the benefits and the main categories like hands-free solution. We have the pickers hands-free, able to focusing only on the real job, that is to collecting the cases that they need. The technology combines both vision and the voice command, so they can see, they can have the directions from the system and they can control it, again, hands-free with the voice commands. We saw directly, even with one-day test, increase on the productivity, increase in accuracy, so better customer service at the end. Lower hardware cost versus what we have with the handheld terminals, considering that they need to be mounted on the pallet jacks. We have electricians working on that, so even hardware-independent software. You just take the glasses, wear it, and that's it. You are not binded with a real, let's say, pallet jack. And at the end, we saw even a high employee engagement when they tried the different technologies. They came to us when we can have them. It is what we need in order to perform our job in a better and more efficient way. Considering this, and in order to have some more details about the technology, let me pass the floor to Jan.
Thank you. So vision picking, what is vision picking actually? What is it about? It's really essentially about telling the order pickers in the warehouse where to go next, which items to pick, how many of those items to pick, and where to put those items on the pallet or on the trolley. And not only telling them and guiding them through the process, but also, in addition to that, checking and confirming that they've done the right thing, so that Coca-Cola is not shipping the wrong items on the wrong cases to their customers. Sounds like a fairly simple process, whereas it is actually, in terms of the IT solution, a really, really complex process and workflow, because there are many, many exceptions that can happen in such a process. There can be too few items on the pallet that you're supposed to pick from. The items can be damaged and so on and so forth, or the picker needs to go on a break. So there are a lot of exceptions that need to be built in the process and that have to be handled. So it's a pretty tricky scenario actually for augmented reality and for the whole solution consisting of hardware, software, and services. In terms of the hardware, Coca-Cola basically looked at different devices with a catalog with different criteria of the requirements of Coca-Cola. The two devices which were basically eventually looked at and evaluated in detail were the Vuzix M300 and the RealWear HMT1. Criteria that were applied were like the ergonomics, obviously, of the device, how long does the battery last with the requirement to last for a full shift, the camera quality, microphone quality, and so on and so forth. Eventually, for the current deployments that we're talking about here, the RealWear HMT1 is the device which is primarily being used. Having said that, we, Coca-Cola and us, we continue to constantly evaluate devices, new devices that are out there. For example, here at this trade show, also looking at the Vuzix M400 or the new Class Enterprise Edition 2, in order to, in the future, potentially also deploy other devices, whatever the device is that suits best at the point in time of the deployment. Now, further details about the project. Suzana, handing over to you.
Thank you. Now, a few words about the warehouse we chose to do the pilot with this new technology. It's Thessaloniki distribution center. It's located in the northern part of Greece, and within our organization, it is considered a medium-sized warehouse. It serves approximately 1,000 customers, and it prepares and distributes 86,000 mixed pallets per year, which are prepared in 2 shifts by 12 pickers. And daily output varies significantly between winter and summer, since we have a high seasonality. The challenges we wanted to address were to start with better customer service. We needed to reduce the errors and improve picking accuracy, because as you can understand, with such high numbers of products being prepared in mixed pallets, even a 0.1% error can lead to 1,000 wrong cases and consequently lead to 1,000 consumer complaints. So firstly, we wanted to target better customer satisfaction. At the same time, we wanted to improve productivity. Finding employees for such kind of manual labor is becoming increasingly difficult in Europe, so we needed to make the best with the people we already have in our premises. And of course, this had to be achieved with an optimum investment. There were very limited preparations, physical preparations, when it comes to the warehouse. We practically kept the same layout, and we simply created some QR codes to be added in the bins. Of course, we had to make sure that the Wi-Fi coverage was really good so that it would support this new technology. So the targets we set was 99.99% accuracy. We were targeting 10% productivity improvement. And also, we targeted almost half hardware and installation cost.
Camera. Two okay. Camera. Exit.
So what you saw was the result of a very good implementation plan. What were the main success factors? To start with, very good collaboration between the two different vendors that had to combine the existing system with the new technology and the hardware. It was an agile approach, meaning we did not have perfection from time zero, but we learned as we moved on from our mistakes. And we had a lot of on-site simulation and very active participation of the people who actually do the job. Now, as you can see, we wanted to improve the efficiency of our people. So our people were in the core of this project. We had to do a very thorough risk assessment to make sure that using the smart glasses would not put them at any health and safety risk. We had to comply with GDPR legislation. And we also had to align with the unions so that this would not be perceived as a project targeting to reduce employees, and of course with the third-party logistics companies that work with us. That required training also, which was quite limited, approximately 4 hours of training before people started doing the job. And this happened in an environment that there was already a very good process in place. There was a system in place. Everything was standardized. So there was a basis upon which we implemented the new technology. And of course, it helped that we had stable software, stable hardware, stable infrastructure. A lot of after go-live support as well, because as I've mentioned, we learned through this process and we had to make several adjustments on the way. Project started in April. We started with 6 out of the 16 pickers. Implementation was actually about 2 weeks. And gradually, we started also adding more pickers. They were eager to start using the new technology because they immediately realized the increased productivity. And practically, after just a few months, productivity was increased at 16% versus the initial target we had to increase it by 10%, so that there we over-delivered, and accuracy reached 99.99%. So, in terms of our targets, we achieved them, and that meant that the project could roll out to more countries.
So, those are the impressive results. of the first site to which we deployed it. Now let's have a look at how we got there. So what did we do in order to achieve this? The project basically started in January with designing the solution, defining the voice commands, defining the workflows, defining the exceptions, specification of the system and user interface, and so on and so forth. Beginning of February this year, we started configuring and implementing the solution, also the interface on the SAP side. It was the whole project in terms of configuration and development was really a combined effort of 3 companies, obviously Coca-Cola, Hellenic, Ubimax, so we as the solution provider, and then also Atos as the strategic IT partner of Coca-Cola Hellenic played a significant part in that project. This phase took roughly 4 to 5 weeks until we started with intensive testing and training. So each picker was trained with the final solution, meaning really after 4 to 5 weeks, the solution was completely ready to be deployed, ready to go. And the testing and training phase actually was a very important phase. It included, as mentioned, training, and I still remember the Saturday before the go-live, we had 6 pickers coming into the warehouse, picking everything basically that was supposed to be picked on Monday for 4 to 5 hours, and then we had another 6 pickers coming into the warehouse and putting everything back onto the pallets because it was just in the test system and had to be redone then obviously in the live system on Monday. So significant effort in order to really make sure that on the go-live date, on Monday, everything worked flawlessly, and it was indeed here the case that on Monday, first shift, all 6 pickers of that shift used the solution right from the start and have never ever used the previous solution since then. The full deployment then to all pickers and all shifts happened within the next 4 weeks. So in beginning of May, the Thessaloniki site was fully live with all 16 pickers. The design phase for the next phase of the project started June. So phase 1 was really basically about replacing the previous solution, already achieving significant benefits. Phase 2 is about deploying or improving further processes, providing the opportunity for multi-pallet picking instead of just single pallet, and so on and so forth. Further go-lives have already happened, like in Ireland and Serbia, for example. Those sites went live. The system is multi-tenant, has multi-tenant capabilities, so it was basically just a second and third tenant, as Dinos pointed out earlier. The processes at all the sites are standardized, which makes it fairly easy to deploy the solution at further sites. Obviously, we need multi-language capability. There are a few different things at each site, but in general, it's quite straightforward to go to further sites. Phase 2 by now has been deployed, and the Ireland and Serbia site are working fully productively and will go live completely at full scale in November. And there are also further phases, but Dinos, handing over to you to talk about the full scope of the project.
So the important thing of scalability, I think that also other companies already mentioned it earlier today. 2019, we saw that we started January, we had the first location going live in 1st of April, and we are moving already. We are in 3 in total, plus 2 that are coming on Monday, plus 2 more that are coming in November. So the final target for 2019 is already to roll it in 7 warehouses across 6 countries of our territories, covering more than 250 pickers. So a really fast, let's say, plan for the deployment. And if we see what we are planning for 2020, again, we want to reach an addition of 11 locations, more than 270 pickers, in 9 countries, like Russia, Ukraine, Hungary, Poland, and Romania. They will have additional locations, and so on and so forth. So we saw already, as Suzana presented earlier, the benefits and the targets that we already faced from the pilot, and we have to take the decision as a company to move fast on the deployment of this technology to the rest of the location. Saying that, just to pass the floor again to Suzana.
So, vision picking and augmented reality was something that significantly changed warehousing operations in our organization, and it's something we will expand furthermore in all our countries. And thank you very much. In case there's any question, Jan, Konstantinos, and myself will be happy to answer.
All right, we would need to switch to the question tool now, please.
Thank you very much. I'm going to say that is a wonderful slide deck and talk about on-brand. That was really fascinating. Thank you. Here's an easy question for you guys. I think this may or may not be the right question. Do you plan to work on 5G in the future? What difference is that going to make to the stock picks for you?
Very nice question. Actually, we have something in plan already. We are testing the new technologies in few of our sites and to see what we can implement and how we can benefit of these new networks and speeds, let's say, how this can bring benefits to our business. Yeah, it is in plan. In addition, just to mention here that except the vision picking, what we are doing with Ubimax, we have an additional scope of remote maintenance, which actually we have already implemented to 25 locations in 2019, and we are targeting in 2020 to further accelerate to 15 additional plants. So target to cover almost all of our production plants across the 28 countries.
Got it. And do we maybe have any live questions from the audience? I always like these the best. Anybody want to put a hand up? Yeah, one at the back. Can you project, or do you want to come down and maybe grab a little microphone which might... So you catch that? How many units for a whole thing, and then how long before you pay back the investment?
Yeah. Now it depends on the size of the plant. We have like big locations that you can have, for example, 30 pickers per shift, and you can have 3 shifts across. So total 90 pickers. There we are targeting to have 30 smart glasses. The glasses are used throughout all the different shifts, so we don't have 90 in total. We have 30 that are switching. We are changing the hats or the strategies for hygiene purposes, and we have some backups just in case something happened, any breakages, maintenance, etc. And the second part of your question, can you please repeat it? Payback time. Hard to say because for our case, we had the standardization of the system and the process across, which makes much more easier the integration with SAP. So we can say that we are expecting the payback of the investment to less than 2.5 years.
I guess it depends a bit on what you see as opportunity costs, basically. As pointed out in the beginning, the hardware costs are actually significantly lower than with the alternative solution. If the assumption is that a solution anyway has to be deployed because we're at a greenfield or the previous solution has to be replaced, then the payback period, I assume, is much faster than 2.5 years. It basically already starts from day one in that case because it's faster. And the hardware is cheaper than the other hardware. If you consider not paying anything and in comparison to that, deploying vision picking, then it depends on the performance improvement, but then that's roughly the number.
And again, as we are adding the plans according to the schedule that we have, it will start trigger the additional return on investment.
And there is obviously stuff, correct me if I'm wrong, but the accuracy has significantly increased compared to what was there before. So there is stuff which is not directly related to return on invest, but which improves customer satisfaction, for example.
Perfect. Thank you. Unless, we've got another one at the back there.
It tells you the target location where to go to. It doesn't give you GPS. The way the Coca-Cola Hellenic warehouses are structured and the locations are structured is so clear that it's just way faster to tell the picker where to go to, what his target location is, and he basically just walks there instead of telling him now turn right, now turn left, and now turn left again. So it's just faster because every picker knows the structure of the warehouse and how to get to a certain location. That is just faster to tell him the target location instead of navigating him there.
Just to point out here, except the physical preparation, imagine that in a backbone that we have in SAP, as an outcome of distribution and WMS that we currently have, we have a proposal on the sequence that the picker should follow, following specific rules of how we can place the cases, stackability, compatibility matrix, etc. So we have some rules, and actually this is a nice opportunity just to mention that we are working and looking in the future how to make these rules better, even through machine learning, artificial intelligence, so with this booming, let's say, technology.
No. Thank you. Frau Rari, I think you're going to be able to catch your plane. Thank you very much.
Someone needs to run. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.